The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come here today to address you. I'm indeed very glad to be here. As you all know, I am running for governor. My name is Peter Idusogie. Idusogie. If you cannot pronounce my last name, just say it is okay, because in 2011, when I become your governor, it will be okay in Minnesota. I am running for governor so that we may preserve that which has made Minnesota great for future generations. My campaign will be anchored on two strong principles: righteousness and justice. I will tie every decision made in the corridors of power in St. Paul to improving the quality of life of the Minnesota people. Because life is about people, and people are everything. And when you lift up the Minnesota people, you lift up Minnesota. This will be the campaign in which the politics of passion and vision will be embraced, and the politics of division, distraction, and division will be disgraced. This will be the campaign in which the idea that you can raise or cut taxes without sound economic principles, that deception will go away. This is the campaign in which we'll recognize that all the empty philosophies and high-sounding nonsense that masquerade themselves as real solutions, but all they have done is undermine the quality of life of the Minnesota people, that deception will go away. My campaign is about a generational transformation, the renewing of our minds so that we're no longer conformed to the old ways of thinking and the old patterns of doing things, but we're able to test and approve the new economic policies that deal with the realities of our time. I'm going to orientate the entire Minnesota economy into an export-oriented economy, where we shall first open up new markets for existing products and services, and second, generate a new generation of products, 21st century economy for 21st century products and services. In the course of my campaign, I have met these entrepreneurs who are small today but big tomorrow. They are called iconic companies or gazelle companies. One of them, the other day I spoke with, has developed the first fully grade, solid state indestructible light bulb. You can take a hammer and hit the light bulb and it will never break. He has a small facility here in Brooklyn Park. Why is this so important? The reason is because that light bulb, 90% of its energy is used to produce light, while 10% is heat. Contrast this with the current light bulbs, in which 90% is heat and 10% produces light. The light bulb industry was 114 billion in America, 120 billion in Europe, and 130 billion in Asia. So we have the potential $500 billion market about to be birthed in Minnesota. I've also met another gentleman who wants to export carp to the world. Carp is a fish that is found in 5,000 of our lakes. And sometimes it's become a predator and a menace. But it's indeed a delicacy in Asia, in Africa, and in Croatia. He wants to become the largest carp exporter in the world. So these are the new entrepreneurs of the future that I have met. So when I say I'm going to create a new generation of jobs and open up new markets, I'm not just speaking rhetoric. I'm talking about something that is already in the making. We cannot depend on stimulus packages and works projects in the fixing of our bridges and rebuilding of our infrastructure, all of which are important, but they are all temporary. We need to make Minnesota a state in which never again shall we have to depend on stimulus package, and never again shall we be held hostage by either a national or a global economic recession. I'm going to be the governor that will build the reserves of Minnesota so that during the tough times, we will be able to have something to lie on. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. And the people of Minnesota have hung in there. We know that in Minnesota, parents every day sit at a dinner table deciding how they're going to meet their obligations, financial obligations, which bills they're going to pay and which ones have to wait later on. The time has come for you to have an activist governor with a visionary approach to dealing with the problems that confront our generation. Every major innovation, every breakthrough, every technological breakthrough or innovation has come as a result of vision. This is what separates me from my counterparts. They have great experience, but experience reminds us of the past. Vision reminds us of the future. Experience tells us of what we did yesterday. Vision tells us of what we're going to do tomorrow. Experience can lead to stagnancy, old ideas that are not applicable to the challenges that confront our generation. Eyes that look, Dr. Monroe once said, are common. But eyes that see are rare. Sight is the function of the eyes, but vision is a function of the heart. And this is what I bring to the table. I want to deal with the situation with the nurses in Minnesota. I shall be a governor of the nurses, or the nurses' governor. We all know that the nurses of Minnesota are the heroes and the heroines of our medical system. The whole of Minnesota owe them a heart of gratitude. They have contributed so much, yet endured much suffering. It is important that we come up with a formula to address the pending crisis that is around right now in our midst. And I will propose and introduce a nurses' bill of rights when I become the governor of the state of Minnesota. This is hugely important and cannot be ignored. I will continue to support early childhood education, Head Start, ensure that we continue to provide the necessary funding for K-12 education. But equally important, I'll continue to ensure that any child in Minnesota who decides to go to college or a technical school will have that opportunity, and that the cost of education or the cost of college will not stand in the way. Just recently, I met with the Indian ambassador to the United States, and she informed us that there are 100,000 Indians in America going to a best institution paying full fare, $30,000 and above for their education. We cannot lag behind. Our old friends have now become our economic rivals, and the time has come for you to have a governor who has the understanding that education is the great equalizer. It's the one sure hope that every child will have an opportunity to reach out to the best of their God-given potential and enrich the lives of others. It's the shot in the arm of a child born in difficult circumstances, maybe humble beginnings, that they can capture the American dream if they can just have a quality education. I'm going to close both the education gap, or what you call the achievement gap, as well as the digital divide. I'm going to make sure that every rural part of Minnesota has access to high-speed internet. But I'm also going to make sure that our students here in the inner cities are literate when it comes to computers. I also want to promote lifetime learning for adults, because we have situations where parents are not educated and therefore they're not able to contribute meaningfully to their child's education. How can a child learn something if when they come back the parents cannot help them with their homework because they are illiterate? We need to do something about it. I also want to deal with the issues of teenage suicide, which is growing not just in Minnesota but in the country. When I spoke at the Democratic Convention in Duluth, I spoke about teenage suicide. Unfortunately, NPRO chose not to carry my speech. But 2 days after, NPRO, National Public Radio, was talking about suicide. So it's obvious that I was talking about something that was relevant, not just to our times, but also relevant to the hearts and minds of the families of Minnesota. It's a terrible thing to lose a child due to suicide. And I sympathize, and my heart goes out to all parents who have lost their young children due to suicide. I'm going to be a governor that will go to school, speaking about the destiny of children. That every one of us is born into this world for a particular purpose to solve a particular problem. That each and every one of us has the opportunity to transform our lives. This campaign is about a generational transformation. It's about the lifting up of people to pursuing their dreams and pursuing their destinies. The time has come for us to have a leader that understands the pulse and the hearts of the people. The time has come to have a leader that knows that people are everything, and that when we lift up the Minnesota people, we lift up Minnesota. This is the core of my campaign, tying every major decision to the corridors or in the corridors of power to improving the quality of life of the Minnesota people. I ask for your vote on August 10th. I'm running against formidable candidates, but I believe that this is the race of ideals and the race of who has the best vision, and I believe that I do. It was Abraham Lincoln in 1863 in the Gettysburg Address that said, "A government of the people, for the people, and by the people will never perish from the earth." And this is why I'm running in the primary race on August 10th, so that you can decide my faith. I thank you for all your support, and may God bless you, and may God bless the state of Minnesota. Thank you.
The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are are also on the faces of people going by.